Hey, happy Thursday, everybody. Mark again here at Weatherman Plus. Now, our heat dome is going to be on the move this weekend all the way into next week. So if you're along the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast, this heat is not going away. It's going to worsen for you, especially with the heat indices. Now, there is that cool down that's coming across for the Great Lakes out through the Northeast after you deal with this heat pattern. So while everyone else is going to be in over 100-degree heat indices, you're going to be in the 70s. Plus what's going on with our tropics. Still have the system in the Gulf, still showing it's a very low threat, but I'm still showing as we go into August, everything's going to change. Now we also have severe weather for today and for tomorrow. There's going to be some thunderstorms, but it's going to be relatively mild. Then after we deal with this pattern, these ridge riders are going to be gone, and our severe weather is going to calm down for a bit. So I'm going to show you in this video what our weather pattern is going to do right around the corner, and we're going to start with the temperatures. Now for today, it's still very hot along the southwest, still over 100 degrees, close to 105 to 110, while these 90s stretch all the way towards Michigan into southern Ontario and comes all the way across the southeast. Now these 90s are going to grow as we go through the weekend. You're even going to be at 100 degrees or more for northern Texas, over here for Oklahoma, northern Louisiana, going through Arkansas and southern Missouri. Now with our heat index value, this is where it's really going to feel very hot. So make sure you're ready for these temperatures, everyone. Feel like you're still over 100 degrees to over 105 for multiple states. Now for tonight, you are going to cool down to the nice 50s, even the low 60s, but this is going to change as we go by this weekend. Now for tomorrow, for Fridays, where we're going to see a shift. It's still very hot along the southwest, over 105, close to 110 degrees, while these 90s go all the way up into Canada and towards the northeast and the mid-Atlantic. This is where things are going to grow a little bit, especially with your heat indices. And you're going to be 100 degrees or more for northern Texas going through Oklahoma once again. Now with your heat index value, this is where you're going to feel like over 100 degrees over here along the northeast and slowly going down the coast of the southeast. But this is going to change as you go into this weekend, especially early next week. It's going to be very hot and still feeling like over 100 to 105 degrees for multiple states for tomorrow. Now there is a cool front coming through, so remember that. So as you go into this weekend, you see with your troposphere, a lot of warm temperatures still kicking in, but as you come Monday into Tuesday, this is where you're going to get this cool front coming through across the Midwest, the Great Lakes, going out through the Northeast. So you're going to have much cooler temperatures coming through while everyone else is still 100 degrees, well over 100 to 110 degree heat indices. You're going to be in the 70s while this moves along for the Mid-Atlantic and grows for the Southeast as well. Just get in there with everyone else. But it's still going to stick around after that for a very long time with this heat. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And this is where you're going to start breaking your records once again, even your overnight lows. So for today, for your highs, you're going to break a few records. For tomorrow, it's really going to consolidate towards the northeast. And this is where you're going to smash a lot of records. You're going to be in the high 90s with strong heat indices as well. But then you got the cool down that's coming almost right behind it for you. Now, as you go through Saturday, it's going to move further down towards the Mid-Atlantic, towards the southeast. As you go through Sunday, it's going to be there. As you go through Monday, it's going to be there. As you go through Tuesday, it's going to be there. Even for Wednesday, this is going to be a long duration of very strong heat, especially along the Mid-Atlantic and the southeast, feeling like over 100 to 110 degrees for multiple places. At the same time, it's going to be hard to get relief overnight. So your overnight lows are going to be very strong as well. For tonight, you're going to have some strong overnight lows in the high 70s. Over here along the northern side of the U.S., you're going to be just as warm as the southern U.S. along the Gulf. For tomorrow, it's going to transition towards the northeast. For Saturday, it's really going to build along the mid-Atlantic. Saturday and Sunday is going to be some very warm days. Not only for your daily highs, your overnight lows are going to be strong as well. You're going to be in the high 70s. It's going to be real muggy, especially with all these dew points. As you go through Sunday, it's going to be there and expand into multiple states. As you go through Monday, it's going to grow, and Tuesday. It's just going to be a lot of overnight lows very warm temperatures, and your daily highs are going to be very warm temperatures. Make sure you get ready. This is going to be really muggy and hot. And you can see the overall pattern here from Climate Prediction Center. So as we go from Tuesday on all the way towards the beginning of August, you're going to be above average in the northwest. You're going to be below average along California and Nevada, while you have this below average anomaly moving through for the Midwest, the Great Lakes going out through the Northeast. And you still got this big heat dome, this big heat bubble sitting along the South and the Southeast. So going through this quickly, as we go through for Saturday around noontime, you're going to feel like 100 to over 105 degrees right along the coast, while you're still feeling it from Texas towards Kansas all the way towards Illinois and Missouri. This is by lunchtime. As you go later in the evening, it is still going to be there. Very strong heat indices. Be aware of this. Your overnight lows is going to be warm as well. As you go through for Sunday, right around lunchtime, here's that very strong heat again right along the East Coast, 105 towards 110 degree feels like temperatures, while it's still kicking all the way from Louisiana and Texas, going all the way north past Missouri into the Dakotas and Minnesota. Feeling like over 105, almost 110 degrees once again. This is by lunchtime. Later in the evening, it's going to stay there and build. And this is where you can feel like over 110 degrees potentially for Kansas, for Nebraska, for Iowa with the corn sweat going through South Dakota. Very strong heat indices. Monday, again, very intense heat, everyone. Remember, this is going to be a long duration event. And you're still going to feel like over 105 to 110 degrees right along the East Coast, maybe even hotter. This is by lunchtime. Later in the evening, it's still going to be there. Now you're going to be over 110 degree feels like temperatures in the Carolinas. And with all that corn sweat, you're going to feel like over 110 to almost 115 degree heat indices for Missouri, going through Iowa and Illinois as well. Now here we go for Tuesday. Now those 70s are starting to kick in a little bit better, while everyone else is still feeling like over 100 to over 110 degree feels like temperatures, and is really building along the southeast. This is by lunchtime. As you go later in the evening, it is still there. Multiple states over 110 feels like temperatures. Please be aware of this. Now here we go for Wednesday. Now we have the 70s kicking in for the northern tier of the U.S. This is by lunchtime, where everyone else is still over 110 feels like temperatures. Be aware this strengthens as you go through the weekend into next week. All the way till next Friday, still feeling like over 100 degree heat indices along the south and the southeast, where everyone else is going to be in the 70s. Now, real quick for the severe weather, it is pretty mild. You had over 100 to 115 wind and wind damage reports yesterday, with a tornado report in northern Wisconsin. And for today, you do have some thunderstorms. It is going to be mild for today and tomorrow. Our severe weather is going to start milding down a little bit, everybody. No chances for tornadoes. This is going to be for wind and a small chance for hail. So here's your cities and states at risk for chances for damage and winds for today. It will be on the low end. And here's your cities in Colorado that's at risk for your hail threat for today. But you also see it does stretch into Wyoming, part of the Dakotas, western Nebraska, also over here for the thumb of Michigan. And this is going to start around 4 and 5 o'clock this evening. You're going to start getting a line of storms coming through for eastern Kansas, northern Missouri, coming through Iowa, while you get some coming off the Rockies for Wyoming, going through Nebraska, a little bit of South Dakota and Colorado. While this builds through Michigan and southern Ontario as you go through later on this evening. For tomorrow is going to build right back up, where you could have a stronger day over here towards the northeast, headed towards New England, where you could get some strong cells popping through for the afternoon. So please be aware of that. That could bring some damage and winds with that. While you get some cells coming through for the Ohio Valley. For Indiana, going through Ohio. Also here for Kansas, bringing some isolated storms in nature. While you get some storms along the Gulf for what's building there. It won't form up to anything, but you see how it starts tightening up and starts bringing more storms right along the Gulf Coast and some rain into Texas. Not a lot. But once again, for Friday, you can see an isolated thunderstorm in any of this green area. You do have 2 areas of marginal for those storms. There is no tornado threat. This is going to be for wind and a smaller chance for hail. So here's your cities in North Dakota that has a hail threat for Friday. Also includes eastern Montana, and for your wind threat as well, and for those storms in the northeast, which could grow a slight risk if those storm cells do verify as we get closer. So here's your cities and states at risk for possible damage and winds for Friday. It will be on the low end. Now, as we go through this transition all the way to the beginning of August, this is where we can get something front-induced in the Gulf once again, while we get those waves coming off the MDR, trying to get away from the dust, trying to form up, and still showing we could have chances for something to form in the Gulf, and we have something that can come around this high pressure in the Atlantic that will more likely, on the latest run, weaken back towards the Azores and let everything swing into the Atlantic. It could be a threat for Bermuda, maybe portions of the Caribbean if it forms early. I will keep you updated. So far, it's not showing any threat towards the coast. If you go further down the run, it always shows something big and scary that usually don't work out anyway. But we do need to watch a few areas as we transition into August. Still showing we have favorable environment that's going to be forming up and growing into our MDR and our Caribbean, and what could form up in our Gulf as we go through August. Showing a very strong signal for August 3rd and 4th right in that region. So I will keep you updated on what's going on with the tropics. Our latest, what's in the Gulf, has intensified a little bit more to its chances for growth right before landfall, when it's still going to run out of time, everyone. But it has gone up towards a 50% chance of a tropical depression. Still showing we have this upper level high that is still bringing all these winds, steering everything to the north, while it tries to move to the west towards Texas, where its lower levels spin, and just loses everything. You'll get more rainfall into Louisiana and Mississippi. You will get some along the Texas coast, but I don't see any formation possible. Showing for the next 72 hours with the rainfall coming all the way down Texas along the coast. It's going to be heavier from Houston and east. Also for Louisiana, going through Mississippi and Alabama right along the Gulf, you can see another couple of inches. And what's coming through for the storms all the way from Kansas through Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, southern Wisconsin, and Michigan. You're going to see 1 to 2 inches of rainfall coming with this weather pattern. Still showing it's at 10%. It never had a chance in the first place. Everybody just bringing you rainfall. It's going to run out of time. But what's coming in August is what we need to watch for. I will keep you updated. Because right now you can see the storms that we do have. The wave going in the Caribbean. This is going to start weakening down from shear. And you can see the convection on the storms coming through the MDR as well. But these cannot form, everybody, because it has too much dust in the way. Too much dry air. So I don't see any chance just yet. We will watch it and make sure it don't fall through and bring a problem. But other than that, it don't look like anything anytime soon, at least until we go through the first week of August. And that is it, everybody. Just make sure you watch out for the heat. The heat is going to be on the move as you go through the weekend into early next week, so be aware of that as well. Thank you again for your time. Hope you all have a very great day today. Now, I know it's hot outside, everybody. I know a lot of you have been in this heat a long time, and you have more heat still to come, but still try and be joyfully every single day, even in the face of all this heat. Quick word from our Father, everyone. Ecclesiastes 9 and 10. Live joyfully with the wife whom thou lovest all the days of the life of thy vanity, which he hath given thee under the sun, all the days of thy vanity. For that is the portion in this life, and in thy labor which thou takest under the sun. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. Amen. Love every single day, everybody, and love everyone that you are around every single day. We never know what tomorrow brings. Remember, all glory always goes to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope he keeps you safe every single day of your life and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Have a great day, everyone. Make sure you hydrate. Please check on your neighbors and the pets.